There is one big misconception which has been circling around within the e-commerce industry when it comes to Google Ads related to campaigns, and in this video, I'm going to break that misconception down completely and debunk it for you so you understand what scaling truly even means with Google Ads. Now, one thing I've come to realize after speaking with tens and hundreds of e-commerce brands under my agency, as well as just personally over the years, is most brand owners have no clue of what it means to actually scale with Google Ads, because the first thing that they respond when I ask them how they're scaling is that they say they're scaling by adding more campaigns. Now, this is the number one most common response for this question, and I can guarantee you this is the worst way you can look at scaling with Google Ads. There's various different reasons why just scaling by adding more campaigns is bad, but let's go over some of the few ones. Starting with the first major reason why more campaigns is bad is because more campaigns often equals higher chances of overlap of your products and internal bidding. What you want to understand is the moment you start adding in more campaigns, there's a good chance some of your products end up getting placed within multiple different campaigns that are going after smart bidding based strategies, or that are going after the same placement, for example, shopping only. And even though it's one performance max and one standard shopping, or whatever the case may be, because the product is in both of these campaigns, it's going to start causing internal bidding between these two campaigns, and it's going to cause a lot of unnecessary overlap, which slows down your progress. Second major reason why more campaigns is bad is because more campaigns equals budgets distributed unnecessarily. You're gonna have a certain budget where if you have 50 different campaigns and you have a $2,000 a day budget, that $2,000 a day budget needs to now be distributed amongst these 50 different campaigns, versus that $2,000 a day budget, maybe 1,000 goes towards one campaign, 400 goes towards another, 200 goes towards the third, so on and so forth. So a lot of unnecessary campaigns causes a lot of unnecessary budget distribution. Third major reason is more campaigns equals the data overly spread out unnecessarily amongst these multiple campaigns. There's no reason to spread out data when it's not needed, especially if you can congregate that data within a select few campaigns and allow the algorithm to scale your brand much faster that way. But that brings me to the fourth and most important reason of all, which is more campaigns equals products not receiving a proper testing budget. Again, it goes back to the first issue of budgets distributed unnecessarily. When you have 50 different campaigns, not every single campaign is going to get the right budget, and as a result, not every product within these campaigns is going to be tested properly. So one of the most common things I see when I'm auditing brands under my agency or marketing, which, by the way, if you run a brand doing $50,000 or more per month in revenue, you need some extra help scaling to the next level with Google Ads, go onto my website, yourmarketing.com, and schedule a completely free call with me, and let's see how we can potentially work together and make that happen. But the most common thing I see is that those brands with a bunch of different campaigns have 40, 50, 70% of the catalog, even of their entire product catalog and SKUs, literally have less than one click in the last 30, 60, 90 days. So these products are literally sitting there with 0 clicks and 0 impression share and whatnot, because their budget distribution strategy and the campaign strategy is so vast. It's so much going on at the same time. So it's best to always avoid that completely, and you don't want to be having too many campaigns, because it's also going to lead to lower scale, first of all, with a lot more manual labor, which is not something you want to be sitting around clicking buttons with your ad accounts unnecessarily. So instead, your strategy and what the reality behind the scaling with Google Ads is, the strategy in terms of budget distribution, campaigns, should be based around data-based segregation. This is why I implemented and I created the TPS approach, which stands for testing, profitability, and scaling. This essentially says any product that's getting tested should be in its own budget and should be its own campaign approach compared to products already scaling or compared to products already profitable. Same thing for only segregating when necessary. Just because you have some products getting tested, just because you have some products which need to be more profitable or which are already scaling, does not mean all the time you need to separate out these products. It does not mean that you should have a bunch of campaigns going on. In fact, you can still get away with not segregating out as much until absolutely necessary. This is often what I do nowadays because we don't want to add unnecessary turmoil to the accounts, unnecessary budget distribution, when again, we can congregate and keep things more simpler as a result. And third and most important thing, when it comes to creating more campaigns, it should be based on real data versus arbitrary values. No longer should you be doing segregation based on just the price of the product or the collection that the product's in or the subcategory or whatever the case may be, which is very arbitrary. Now, if you're just starting with Google Ads and if you don't have much data to back up whether something works or not, by all means start with this approach. But once you have tens and hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of data, no reason to be doing this. Instead, you should be segregating your campaigns out based on real data. And this is the reality behind Google Ads. This is why you should not just focus on more campaigns with Google, rather the quality of your campaigns is much more important. But if you run a brand doing $50,000 or more per month in revenue, you need some extra help scaling to the next level with Google, go on to my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a completely free call with me, and let's see how we can potentially work together and make that happen.